Let's talk about disagreement, another one of the 7 points here, and then you had this heart math technique as well, but you said disagreement is unavoidable in any relationship. How should we deal with disagreement? How do you deal with disagreement?
Well, I treat it from the position of conflict resolution, which is always about unmet needs.
Right.
And so
we always see the couple that's fighting, and we always know they're not actually fighting over the dinner bill, the laundry, where, like you were saying earlier, there's a lot of times something else that they're actually fighting over.
Yeah, it could be that, you paid too much attention to that other person,
right.
And actually, as you say, it then comes out sideways and they argue about something else. It's how you disagree is important. I mentioned earlier, my wife has a great thing, which is let's agree to disagree. Unless there is something we're fundamentally in disagreement about, which might have a problem for us, in which case we need to try and talk about it and it's hard. If your emotions are heightened, you might say and do things you didn't mean to. And so, one of the things I find really interesting is I liked Gandhi's negotiating strategy. So has to negotiate to bring about the end of the British Empire, essentially, with the British who, in his land and think that it's a good job they're there, etc. That's where we're looking after you chaps. So what he would do is he would step out of himself and step into the negotiator and see the world through. Oh, I see. They actually think that they're doing good for us. Right. Then he'd step into a third position and see the conversation from another position. So I think if you look at, say, the law of requisite variety, which is very simple, the part of a system that has the most flexibility ends up in control. That's in control of a political party, a family, corporation, etc. So that doesn't mean the person that's the most malleable. It's the person who's got the most ways of thinking and communicating. So if you've got 7 ways of resisting you, I need 8 ways of persuading you. And so being able often to step outside your usual mindset and see things from a different perspective is highly useful. And if I like Robert Dilt's work in modeling Walt Disney. He had 3 perspectives. The dreamer, he'd dream up all these these ideas. Then he'd step out and become the realist. The critic, the dreamer, the critic. He'd go, this will never work. People won't laugh at that. People won't enjoy it, and tear it to shreds. And what was left, he'd realistically go, well, if it is going to work, we'll need that and that and that, and we'll need to do it in this and this way. So a lot of people critique themselves whilst they're in mid-performance. Now, if something's going horribly wrong, yes, but otherwise, no. Wait till afterwards. A lot of people try and do that as they're writing, they're critiquing as they're going along. Get it down is what I do, and then critique it afterwards. So in disagreement, we know that usually there's an unmet need, and the best way to resolve it is to just ask the person, hey, what's your unmet need here? Particularly if they've gone to the level of personal criticism.
Right.
It's so easy to take it all personally, rather than just see that the person is they're coming from a place of defensiveness, of upset, or something like that. And you mentioned heart math. Now, this is used by every division of the American military. And this is a really simple technique for interrupting overwhelm, emotional overwhelm. So the heart is like a second brain, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of studies with that, right?
That shows about the same number of communication connections. So say you're in emotional overwhelm, you're feeling bad or something like that, stop and put your hand here.
Okay, any hand will do?
Yeah, any hand will do, and breathe. It's often people, when they're tense, they stop breathing, breathe, and then let it go. And then, this is the way I do it. Think about something that makes you feel good. Think about who do you love or who loves you. And hold your attention here. Then think about, what would I like to have happen in my life?
What would you like to have had happen?
Yeah, something, basically ask yourself a power question, something like, who do I love, who loves me? What's something I remember that makes me feel good? What could happen that would make me feel good?
Okay, something in the future that could happen make me feel good. Okay, all right,
so in order to answer that, you have to think about it, you have to go into it.
Right.
So
it forces you to go into it.
Forces
and
you
to
into
live
it
and to live it. Okay,
that's
so
it, yeah.
Right.
But with your hand here,
so you're emphasizing heart.
Here, and you're changing your state. So this is different to this. Right? Now,
touching yourself changes your state.
It does, and particularly where you touch yourself. Right. Yeah. So here produces delta. This produces other changes because, as you say, it draws your attention to here. The breathing interrupts the stress state, and then think about something positive, changes your perspective, and then from that place you might then want to make a decision rather than in fight or flight, unless it's an emergency.
Right. And rarely do we get in tune with our hearts. Right. It's usually
in
up
our
here,
head. Yeah.
Logic, he did this and that, she did this and that, and just like get back to your heart, feel the love, think about something fortunate in the future, and make that decision from your heart.
Yeah, I used to be able to have an argument with somebody on a Friday afternoon and make it last all weekend. And he said that was fucking sure, said that, and and I could literally, and I should have done that. How dare they speak to me? And that is a case of my brain running me, not me running my brain. So now, if I find myself, something happened the other day, and hang on, I could really work myself up about this. I need to do something about it. Let's make a note, right? Just get myself calm. Yeah, nobody's died. This is just a business problem, and there'll be a solution. It might not be what I want, but I'm not going to ruin my entire weekend because of this. Bam. Put it in the Monday morning, sent the email, had a conversation, and we'll see how it works out. But in the old days, that would have been all weekend.
Yeah. Well, one of my mentors always says, in the cosmos of time, your life is nothing more than a fart in the wind. And he says, so none of the decisions you ever will make will ever really make any difference. So we all get so caught up in one decision, but over the course of your lifetime, they're almost meaninless. So don't get caught up in that.
Well, it's there was that study done a few years ago where people went into old people's homes, and the researchers did, and they asked people, what do you wish you'd done more of or less of? And most of the people said, I wish I'd worried less.
Right.
And when I've done a process where I go out to near the end of my life and I look back and I ask myself, what do I wish I'd done more of or less of? And when I first did this, I went, wish I'd loved more, laughed more, been less competitive with everyone else. Don't wish I had more money in the bank. I'm missing out on some of the real joy. And if I do that now, I do a different process. I go out to the end of my life, near the end, assuming I've had a fantastic life. It's been amazing. And I ask myself, what made it amazing? And then the answers are, for me, the love of my wife and my family, and having, being in good health, living life on my own terms, taking joy in things rather than just it being an endless pleasure quest. It's all about happiness. And then having made a difference.
Right. That's a really good exercise for someone to do, because then that shows you what's important today.
Yeah.
And your decisions today they will change based on those new goals.
Yes, sorry.